Hi everyone, can we start?
Yes, Rishabh. So, Rishabh, Shivahum, and Bipin, three of you are there, right?
Yes,
Okay,
I am Shivoham
okay,
and Rishabh and Vipin will be presenting alongside at different points during the presentation. So let us start with what is SLA. SLA basically stands for stereolithography. So I believe everyone is familiar with this technology, or should we just run through it once?
they're familiar with the basics. Still, you can go through.
Okay, so stereolithography is actually a technology which uses resin. It's just like an ink, you can say, and the resin actually cures when you use light. When you throw light over the resin, it cures. And when you put the resin layer over layer and you throw different images or different shapes, it cures in that way. Hence, the whole product is the part is made. Okay, move to the next slide. So there are three types of this technology. The first one is called the DLP or direct light projection. The second one uses a laser, and the third one uses a LCD screen. Um, can we just switch on the camera and show all the three?
Okay, so students are requested to
I hope you
switch.
can see all the three machines behind you.
Yes, yes, it's visible.
So the first machine that you see on the left hand side is actually Accurata, and that uses a DLP or a light source which comes from the bottom. It's just like a projector throwing a light onto a plate, a glass plate, and when the vat which is on the top is below, the resin sticks to the plate and forms the part. If you see in the middle is Formlabs. Formlabs is the second technology, and that uses laser. Okay, it's the same principle. There is a build plate on the top. It goes down to the vat plate, where the laser basically cures the resin, and the part is formed. The third one over here, the new machine which you see, is actually the new technology, which is the LCD screen. And the same thing happens in case of a projector or in case of the laser, but over here you see that LCD screen actually makes the image. So we use the pixels of that screen to mark the resolution. So if you have like a regular pixelate, you get a little less resolution. But nowadays LCDs come with 8K, 4K resolution, which is very, very fine. So sometimes it is better than a laser or a DLP as well. Back to the presentation and so when we talk about the next generation of SLA technology, all these technologies have something common in them, and that is that when the resin tray, the plate build platform, it goes down and resin is cured, they need a little bit of movement to pull back the part, and sometimes that movement is not very precise, and the part will stick to the bottom of the plate. Hence, it's a failure, a print failure. The new technology actually is quite different, as it uses a very thin beam of light, laser light, and that light actually travels with the vat. So what happens is it is having dual effect. One, it is curing, and the other time it is peeling at the same time. So this is something new which is started by Formlabs. Um, there are many other companies like this in the market. Like for example, if you heard of Carbon 3D, Carbon 3D is the most innovative one. They use a layer of oxygen to separate the parts, and till date that technology is quite, you can say, proprietary and not open to be used. Like, you can't purchase a Carbon 3D. You have to have a whole setup for the machine to work. So Rishabh will now explain you different aspects of the machine, and also he will explain to you how to use the software, and we will show you some videos based on that.
Okay, so like till now, whatever you have, just a second. So let me know if I'm audible to you.
Yes, you're audible.
Yes. Okay. Seems good. Okay. So till now, like you might have heard about the LCD based, the DLP based, and the laser based machines, right? So I'll just give you a more elaborative type of a thing, that how are these technologies different from each other and how like they go on. So first of all, we'll start off from the very beginning. That means I presume that you might have like you may have some idea about 3D printing, that it is nothing but stacking of multiple layers one over another, right? So the particular phenomena, what it is being followed in FDM process, that means a single layer of material is being melt and being composed over another one. Similar type of a thing is being observed in SLA. The only difference is the construction. The construction of the model is upside down in this particular case. So can you see this particular screen? A particular model is being printed and that is being printed upside down. That means the construction has happened from bottom till top. Okay. So in order to proceed further, I'll just make you go through a particular video that will give you a much elaborative view how DLP, LCD and laser based processes of VAT photopolymerization are differentiated. So I'll do one thing, I'll just go through this particular thing, and in between, if anyone of you like comes across any of the query or any doubt, you can simply note it down, and at the end of this video, we can actually sort it out. Okay. So it was very clear in the very first image that whenever you send a particular model to a 3D printer,
It's not
so
visible.
sorry,
It's not visible. It's your.
it's not visible to you.
Yeah. Maybe you have to like switch the screen because it was in full slide mode. No?
So is it visible to you? Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible. Laser SLA.
Okay. Okay. I'll just start off from the very beginning. Yes, we were over here that we have three types of technologies in VAT photopolymerization. So when I say VAT photopolymerization, that means the particular process of SLA. That means a particular phenomena, a particular technology. Okay. So we'll begin the things with DLP, laser and LCD. So these are three of them and we'll study about them in detail. It is common in FDM, in SLA or in SLS or in DMLS. So whatsoever the technology may be, additive manufacturing is totally about stacking of multiple layers one over another in order to form a compound. Process goes very simple. That means we do have a construction platform, we do have a tank, a tray in which the photopolymer is being poured in, and then we do have sources of UV light. So that particular light is not an ordinary light. The source of light is a UV light, ultraviolet light, and that actually cures the photopolymers present inside this vat, and further the particular composition happens and sticks to the build platform. So hereby you can see the basic difference as well as the only classifying factor between the three technologies into VAT photopolymerization technique. So first thing we do have a DLP, digital light processing. Second thing we do have laser, and the third thing we do have LCDs. Okay. So in case of DLP, what happens is we do have a projector similar to that of a projector what we see in a cinema theater. So we do have a projector. A beam of light is being thrown from the projector to a mirror. So this is a particular mirror, And through that particular mirror, light is rerouted to the vat where the resin is poured, and simultaneously the composition takes place. So that means the source of light will be a digital light projector, and that will throw light on the mirror, and further the formation will take place. What happens in laser is we do have a specific point size laser that actually gets rotated by means of galvo mirrors, and formation of the particular part takes place. Whereas in case of LCD, we do have a LCD screen like of mobile phones. We do have a LCD screen. So the light illuminates and the part is being formed over the build plate. So everything in detail will be shown to you in this video itself. Yeah, so was this clear? I mean, this particular video might have made you familiar about all the three aspects, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So like we can make this session a bit more interactive. So we can have like a feedback kind of a thing. I mean, I'll just ping up some of the queries in between, and thereby you can provide me the feedback so that I can also acknowledge that it is understood to you. Okay. Okay, so as we were over here, that there was a bit, I mean, a major difference between the three, the DLP, the laser, and the LCD thing. So in this particular video, you might have seen the basic difference, how the DLP process goes and how the composition takes place, and simultaneously for rest of the two. So moreover, we'll study about the laser thing a bit more in detail and specific to a particular product. So thereby, I'll just show you one more video, and thus we'll comply to this particular presentation.
All 3D printing technology.
So this will exactly give you the process, how SLA works, and what are the exact principles responsible for the construction of a model.
Technologies, solid parts and 3D models layer by layer. Among them is SLA. SLA stands for stereolithography, a 3D printing process that uses a UV laser to cure liquid resin into hardened. Upside down or inverted stereolithography is the most common SLA. Depending on the machine, resin is either dispensed automatically. At the beginning of the print, a built platform is lowered into the resin, leaving only a thin layer of liquid in between the platform and the bottom. Galvanometers direct the UV laser to the transparent window at the bottom of the resin, drawing a cross-section of the 3D model selectively hardened. The print is built in consecutive layers, each less than 100 microns thick. When a layer is complete, the part is peeled on the bottom of the tank, letting fresh resin flow beneath, and the platform is lowered once again. Originally developed in the 80s, SLA was confined to large industrial machines until recently. Today, desktop stereolithography offers affordable, high-resolution 3D printing that fits conveniently in your workspace. SLA allows for the use of a wide range of materials with diverse physical properties. Whether you're an engineer, product designer, sculptor, jeweler, or dentist, there's a material for your application.
Like, I mean, from this particular video, it might be more clear about the laser phenomena, how laser working takes place, and how wet polymerization through lasers takes place, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, good. So we'll start off. We'll begin with the particular presentation. So thereby we were talking about some of the aspects in wet polymerization process. So we'll just talk about some of the parameters. So comparatively to FDM, SLA offers you a much detailed print, simultaneously a lesser layer resolution. Okay. So when we say layer resolution or the X, Y, or Z axis resolution, so that basically means the precision what a particular machine or what a hardware is capable of giving you in a specified dimension, right? So when it is written over here as 25 microns in X and Y, that means X and Y resolution is 25. So a particular compound, whosoever may be formed in either X or Y direction, a feature of 25 microns is capable to be withdrawn by the means of laser. And further, its thickness will define how that particular feature will be propagated. Okay. Further, the equipment, as I showed you in the particular video, so I'll just show you once again. Yes. So you can see just at the back of my side, this particular machine. So this is Formlabs, and this is a SLA based machine. And thereby in SLA based machine, the laser power what we have. So the laser power is 250 milliwatts. That means a very less intensity laser is responsible for constructing the models. But further, the intensity of the laser does not define how critical or how geometric or best the aesthetics can be offered from a particular machine. And simultaneously, we do have n number of additional features available in this particular equipment. So like layer thickness can be varied from 25 till 300 microns. But comparatively in FDM technology, you do have a greater provision. That means you can vary from 25 microns till 2000 or 3000 microns. That is 2 mm or 3 mm. Okay. Comparatively, the construction area, the build area of SLA machines or DLP machines or LCD based machines, any of the wet polymerization process, that is comparatively low when we compare it to FDM or any other process. That means we do have a specified build area. So very complex geometries, very intricate parts are supposed to be generated through this technology. Yeah, as mentioned, the pinpoint precision, that means 25 microns is the particular layer resolution, and simultaneously the laser power is 250 milliwatts. So this is how the entire construction happens, and there are mainly 3 accessories responsible for the construction of a model. So hereby we do have our vat tray, our resin tank where we pour in the resin. Then we do have our build platform. This is the region where the particular model gets constructed. And at the back side of the particular machine is the dispensing cartridge, which actually holds the vat photopolymer, the liquid. So our process is very simple: design, print, and then post process. So okay, I'll just ask you a particular question. Any one of you can answer this. So if in case we design something and print it in FDM, so as soon as the model is completed from the printer, now what is the next step what we will do? Any one of you can answer.
Remove the supports.
We remove the supports. Okay. Then further?
If it needs, we can do some sanding.
Okay. So similar kind of a thing is being followed here also. I mean, you were exactly right. So when we print something, so let's say a particular model of ours is designed we simply export it to the particular machine after slicing. And as soon as the print is being completed, so hereby in SLA technology, a bit more intricate post processing is required. Okay, so we'll talk about it, but our operation goes like: design something, you have the STL or the OBJ file with you, your part is ready to be printed, it does not have any manifolds or glitches in it. Further, you are welcome to move your design to the printing portfolio. Thereby, in the slicing engine, you can define the parameters, the layer height, the thickness, the shell, and so on. And further, you can escalate the file to the printer for printing. As soon as the printer will perform its operation, that means the model will be printed, you can take out the part, you can remove the supports, and then you are supposed to do the post-processing options. So we'll talk about the post-processing options hereby. So before coming to the post-processing, yeah, we do, I mean, SLA offers you a wide variety of materials that even, FDM won't be able to offer you. SLA has that much variety of materials available. So let's say we do have a specific material known as castable material or a wax kind of a composition. So that particular material has 100% burnout. That means after burning that compound, it will leave no residue, no ash. It will burn 100%, and thereby you won't experience any like sludge or any missile after that. So depending on the particular application, you can actually have biocompatible materials, biodegradable materials. So I'll just repeat it once again. Biocompatible materials. That means you can print anything inside the printer and directly that can be used inside your mouth or your body. So that will not harm your body. Biodegradable material. That means you can print something, you can put it under the farm, you can put it under the land, and after like some years that will be vanished. And contrary to, varying upon the application, you do have a wide variety of materials like engineering, architectural, jewelry, dentistry, anything. Okay. Then talking about the post-processing operations, as I mentioned, after printing, you are supposed to do a bit more tweaky operations. So hereby in SLA technology, we do require isopropyl alcohol, IPA solution, that is responsible for washing the parts. So once the part is printed, you are not supposed to take out the supports directly. So once the part is printed, you have to immerse it into a IPA solution. Isopropyl alcohol will remove the excess amount of resin from the model from its surfaces, and thereby will assure that the model is away from excessive resin and that is only holding the resin which is cured. Further to which, the washed part is kept in a chamber, a UV chamber. Thereby, some UV lights are being thrown from different angles, and thereby some amount of temperature is being raised, so as the semi-polymerized part. Because inside the printer, whatever the composition may be, whatever the printer may be, any model inside the printer is not 100% polymerized. So, like ballpark figure can be 20% or 30%. That means the resin is only solidified, that has not reached to its peak level values. So neither the strength will be higher, neither the stiffness will be higher, nor like elasticity will be on its place, so nothing will be there. So in order to attain its maximum properties, you have to wash the part. After washing, you have to put it in a UV chamber, so as now the striking of the UV rays will actually make the particular model solidified, and further your model will be ready to be used in any of the applications. So yeah, we do have a particular container. So that's like an automatic container. Whatever it is printed, you can simply put it inside the particular chamber that has motors that creates the swirling effect, and the part gets washed automatically. So these are some of the specs of that particular container. So I'll not move into detail about the specs. Further, we do have a UV chamber whereby you can actually provide the temperature as well as the particular revolution. That means the time, how long it should rotate and cure the particular model, and thus it will yield to a good quality print. Okay. So like, was this understood to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so like any one of you coming up with any of the queries, please feel free to ask. So shall I proceed ahead?
Yes, sir.
So I'll show you the interface of the slicing engine, how the slicing engine of SLA, like what is the interface, and thereby what are the operations for the you can do over the particular thing. Okay. So this is how the grid, this is how the platform of a SLA based machine looks like. So this is the grid which shows you the printable area. Anything lying between this particular range can be printed. Anything exceeding this range cannot be printed. Okay. So I'll just tell you what this particular software is. So this is Preform, the name of this slicing engine. And this is by the OEM Formlabs. So like most of the, almost 90% of the manufacturers for SLA technology, they do have their own slicing engines. But in case of FDM, it's not the same. I mean, 90% of the particular machine runs over a single slicing engine, that is Cura. So you all might be familiar with Cura, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the interface, I mean, the operations are almost identical to what we use in Cura. I mean, the first thing what we need to do is we need to choose the location of the file. So, okay, I do have a particular file. I have a particular model with me. Okay, let it be a gear. So thereby we do have a particular model along with us. So the first and the foremost thing what you need to do is import a model. So you can simply drag and drop the particular model, or you can choose the location of the model in order to make it visible over the print screen. Then the second thing is to choose the material. So as I said, the particular machine has n number of materials based on the application. So if in case we may be casting it to make it a aluminum or iron type of a compound, so thereby we can actually choose any of the castable materials. So if in case this needs to be biocompatible or biodegradable kind of a compound, we could choose any of these two. But further, varying upon the application, we do have n number of materials available. So I'll just choose any one of them. Let it be black. So right now we do have provision of printing at 3 different layer heights. That means 25 microns, 50 microns, and 100 microns. So we do have the provision of printing this particular model at a different layer heights. Simultaneously, that will define our time too. Okay. So as we chose that particular parameter, so hereby you could see that some of the red marks, which is showing the overhang. Like if a particular model is not subjected to any kind of supports, it will be fallen. And further, it will give us an indication that we need to provide any kind of supports. So this is the same thing what happens in Cura. Even in Cura, if a particular model is overhang, that will show you a red region. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So first thing is to import a model. Then what we do is choose the particular material, in which material whatever we want to print, and then choose the appropriate layer height. So let's say 50 microns was not even required for this. So I'll not tell this particular thing. Like you guys let me know what should be the appropriate layer height for printing a gear. I mean, is it required to print it at 25 microns or 100 microns or 50 will do the work? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I could see that 28 of them of like 28 of you have joined, but okay, no worries. So basically, like the layer height totally depends on the aesthetics of what is actually required in the particular model. So when we say about a gear, I mean 25 microns is not at all required. Even the composition at 100 microns will do our work, right? So we'll choose 100 microns, and that will save a lot of time of ours. So thereby, after choosing the particular material and the appropriate layer height, the third thing what we need to do is orient the particular model in such a way that it may be formed properly. Simultaneously, it should not have like a wide variety or like a big quantity of supports generated into it. So the other parameter will be to choose the orientation of the model. So if in case you feel comfortable with the bar, with the disk to choose the orientation, you are most welcome to choose that. But if in case you want to choose a particular base, so thereby we do have n number of features available over here too. I mean, this is for scaling the model up or down. So in case of SLA, you can scale the particular model uniformly. As you might have done in FDM, you could actually scale the model non-uniformly. That means you can change either of the directions. But in case of SLA, it is compulsory to do uniform scaling. Okay, so if in case you don't want the scaling thing to need to be done, so then in that case you can actually design the model as per the dimensions what you need. Further carrying ahead, we can choose the particular base in which we want to print this model. So let's say this is the appropriate base for me to print the model. Okay, so my model is something like this. Okay, and further I'll just choose. So this particular feature is for scaling. Then this is for actually choosing the orientation of the particular box. Then this particular feature is for selecting, generating the supports. So let's say we are creating full raft. Simultaneously, the touch point size will be 0.6 mm. Okay, so we'll just generate some kind of supports, and thereby we'll see. Okay, so this model will take 4 hours and 30 minutes to print. Total number of layers will be 322, and the volume of resin being utilized for the construction of this model is 51.28 ml respectively. Okay, so when we say 322 layers, so we'll just see the layer view for each and every layer. So this is how the construction of the raft takes place. So it will be very easy for us to remove the model from the platform. If in case we would have chosen something else, this would have created caused us some problem. Generation of supports is happening like this, and the moment when the particular part comes into existence, that means the point at which the model will touch down, the initial layer of the model will touch down the supports. So that means this tip, so the diameter of this particular tip is being defined by the value what you given here. So let's say if it was 0.6 mm, so the tip of this particular cylinder is 0.6 mm, and for all the construction will happen over this. Okay, likewise each and every layer is 100 microns thick. We had provided 100 microns as the layer resolution, and the composition of 322 layers makes our entire model.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, the slicer software, when it is generating the supports, does it take in account the weight of the model?
Weight of the model or width of the model?
Weight of the model. Like heavier parts. Yes, sir. Like heavier parts would need more support like that. Does it take in account?
Yeah. So basically what you do is, so let's say first of all, the thing what comes into existence is
does it depends upon the infill density?
Yeah, so that I was coming about. So let's say the first thing what comes into existence is, if in case you do have a particular model with you, the first and the foremost thing at the time of designing is you should have a cross check whether the particular infill. So let's say you do have a particular model, you are not printing in FDM, because in FDM you do have the provision of changing the infills. But in case of SLA, you do not have the provision of changing the infill of a body. So neither it can be 0, nor it can be 50 or anything. So it will always print a solid body. That means it will always print a particular body which is having 100% infill inside. You don't have the provision to change. So yeah, coming to the other point. So whenever you want to print any model in case of SLA technology, it is always advised to create a model as per the requirement. So let's say if you had this gear, right now this gear will be solid. It will have entire its flanges, all the teeth will be solid. Further, you don't require a solid teeth. You just require a prototype to be made, and further you don't want any excess material to be wasted. So what you can do is, at the time of designing, you can create the shell and leave the entire internal space as hollow. So the geometry, the composition in which the model will be created, SLA will not alter that composition. But if in case it will be created as a solid object, it will definitely be formed as a solid object. Okay. And coming to the very first question you asked, that for a weighted model, supports will be generated automatically and so on. So yes, this type of provision is available in the software. So let's say like the particular part of yours requires like some greater amount of resin to be used. So let's say the weight may be around 2 liters. Okay. So let's say if the particular model requires 2 liters of supports to be generated. So I'll just show you a visual. Here we go. I'll just scale this model. So right now we presume that it is quite big enough. Okay, we'll just move it somewhat more. So let it be 2.8. Okay. So right now, if we want this particular model to be printed, we'll simply choose this particular model. Okay. Further, we'll define the orientation on which we want the model to be printed. I mean, it should not happen that you may select the auto-generated orientation, because in case of SLA, auto-orientation is something which the particular software inculcates based on the periphery of the software. It does not know about the structure, it does not know about the geometry or the intrication in between of the software, in between of the model. Thus, it is always advised to create your own geometry, your own orientation in order to make sure that model will be printable. Okay. So what we do, we first of all choose the best orientation, and further we just simply apply the supports. So in case you experience, cause the construction, the weight of the particular model will always be shown in the menu bar. Okay. So what any software will always show you that what is the composition, what is the amount of resin being used in the composition of a model. So let's say like this weight is right now it is 266 ml. Presume that it was 2669.1. That means 2 liters and 669 ml, close enough to 2.7 liters. Okay. So in that case, what you would have done is, instead of giving the touch point size as 0.6 mm, because that is required for a lightweight model, you could actually alter this value and move it close around to 0.9 mm. So this particular touch point has the potential to hold a weight of 8 kgs till 8 kgs, and more than that it cannot be formed inside this particular machine. So the maximum possible weight inside a particular equipment inside this particular software is 8 kgs. So it will vary as per the software and it will vary as per the machine, but moreover it is not advised to use a touch point size greater than 0.9 mm. I mean 0.9 is more than sufficient. Okay. As soon as I'll click on auto generate, it will automatically generate 0.9 mm of touch point size supports over the entire model. So it's showing us 16 hours and 15 minutes to print. Number of layers is 546. Volume of resin being utilized in the construction is 299.97 ml. And this particular value is precise, accurate till 0.1, that means 0.1 or 0.2 ml of resin. So none amount of material will be wasted. Whatever the material is utilized in the construction of model, that's the only construction thing. Okay. So we'll just take some other model. I mean, this was a pretty easy thing. Okay, so let this be our model. Okay, so will FDM process be able to print this model with desired shape and size without distorting any of the single feature?
The accuracy in the design will be less.
Sorry?
In attaining the features, accuracy of attaining the features will be less in FDM.
Yeah, accuracy. Yeah, exactly. I mean, accuracy will be very less.
Detailing will be less.
But like you didn't heard my question properly. I asked, like, will the particular technology be able to create all the features properly? That means, let's say, like this particular, I mean, feature is formed, but the accuracy will be less. That it may be having some blurry kind of a things, or it will have some excessive marks over here. But whether entire, I mean, all the features. So let's say it has a small rock kind of a composition. It should have all the compositions inside as well as outside. Will FDM be able to form such aesthetics?
Sir, since you're asking, so my answer would be no.
Yeah. So moreover, the difference is, I mean, definitely FDM has its own limitations. It cannot exceed its limitations. I mean, it cannot go out of the box to print something. The only reason why FDM process will not be able to form all the features is, and SLA will be able to do is, in case of FDM process, the melting of the material happens and thereby like the formation takes place, the nozzle, the print head moves all around, and then the composition, the deposition of the material takes place one over the other thing. So what happens is, let's say you have the provision of using the minimum nozzle diameter of 0.25, let's say 0.2. Okay, so the extrusion, the material which is coming out of the nozzle, that is having the diameter of 0.2 mm, right? And if in case like if in that particular case you do have a particular parameter, or you do have a geometry that is having the dimension of 0.5 mm or 0.1 mm, in that case it will not be able to form that compound in its own shape and size. It will experience distortions over there, and that's the reason why it is not able to form a particular object beyond its dimensional accuracies, beyond its dimensional limitations. But parallelly, what happens in case of SLA is, we do have a spot size laser along with us. So the size of that particular spot can be 47 microns, and thereby it will travel all around the particular model in X, in Y, either and in the particular Z direction. I mean, the composition takes place in Z. So it will travel all along X and Y to form a particular model, even with a minimalistic feature of 25 microns. So that is the reason why SLA is used over FDM in the places, in the industries where intrication and dimensional accuracies is a must. So let's say we do have, we had this particular model and we wanted it to be printed in any of the castable materials. So let's say like it is supposed to be casted, and then we want this model, whatever it is, printed inside our printer in gold. So what we can do is, we can simply print it in castable material. We do have the model along with us. After the printing is being done, we'll wash the particular model. As soon as the washing is done, we'll cure the particular model. After the curing is being done, we'll remove the excessive supports from the particular model and sharpen up the places where we need good aesthetics. And thus, our model is ready to be casted. So as soon as the print is ready, the casting person will use this particular model as a mold, and then like it depends what kind of a casting he is doing, investment casting or sand casting, and directly the molten material will be poured over this particular piece. This particular material will be burnt and evaporated through a hole, and the rest of the gold, whatever it is from where it is being formed, so that will form the structure of this particular model. Okay, so I'll just go through some of the additional features of the particular software, what you can actually experience in SLA. So model spacing. So this is the similar feature to Cura. That means what should be the minimum space between two of the models. Then like creating like duplications of a particular model. So let's say you wanted 3 of them to be placed. So now you do have 3 additionals being like replicated over here. So it's like the software for SLA is much more simpler and much more less intricate compared to FDM. Thing is, so the basic difference is like in this particular software, you won't experience the infill, the shell, these compositions. You only have the provision of layer height. Simultaneously, the multi-material kind of a thing is not observed in SLA. You can only use a single material at a time, whereas in case of FDM, you can use 2 different kinds of material at a time. In case of FDM, you can actually experience a multicolor model, but in case of SLA, you can only experience a single color model based on the application, based on the resin color. And thus, it's like you're ready to go. So like in between of the entire operation, you might have experienced some kind of queries. So now you're like most welcome to ask your queries. Yeah, so does any one of you have any query so that like I may be helpful to you in order to answer them? Okay. So in that case, we can sum up this session here only. Okay. And in the meantime, what you can do is like you can go through this particular technology at your premises, and thereby if you come across any of the issues, any of the queries, so you can simply raise your queries to me, or you can raise your queries to your professor, and thereby we'll be like ready to answer them in all of these.
Okay, Bipin, so are we stopping today?
Yeah, most probably, sir. Like things are being done, and software portion as well as the hardware stats are being performed. So, like just before ending, I would like your team, yeah, students to show some of the parts printed from this technology.
All right.
Okay, so I'll just show you the things. Yes. Okay. So this is a specific model being printed from SLA technology. So this is made up of clear resin. So this is not exactly 100% optically clear, but yes, this is optically translucent in nature. And thereby we do have micro channels inside this particular model. So the size of the micron channel is 100 microns. That means the passage which it is going through this particular channel is 100 microns. So as I mentioned in my study, that the particular SLA technology is used for very intricate and very complex geometries. Thus, in this particular model, we can experience the same. So parallelly, I would like you to show a particular model. This is Sherlock Holmes model being printed from SLA printer, and I would like you to like gain some of the aspects from it. That means just check the features being available in the model. So as I was mentioning that some of the limitations of FDM are always available. So this is one of the limitations, that it is not able to perform, it is not able to provide such good aesthetics. Okay. So talking about the engineering materials, so let's say we do have a pump and we require the particular integrated part to be printed in different parts and then assembled together to form a assembly. So thus we have printed this particular part in a different material. The housing is printed from different material. The suspension assembly is printed from different material, so that is flexible in nature. We can always press it and pull it. And then the knob is printed from different material so that that may be durable and may not distort within time. Okay. So I had mentioned about like versatility. So this is one of the other versatility of the particular compound. So this is made up of biocompatible material. So this is aligner. This is a dental model, and these are the aligners. Okay. So before, sorry, this is a surgical guide. So before planning or before any operation, doctors usually use this inside the mouth to perform its operation. So let's say if a hole has to be made inside the teeth, so doctor will put this particular surgical guide over the patient's impression, and thus he will perform all the operations. So this is biocompatible as well as biodegradable compounds. Then desirable for engineering applications. So let's say if a particular compound will be experiencing high amount of stress and strain, and thereby will experience very amount of heat to be generated between the two. Thus, we can actually print the particular part in a compound that is sustainable of, sustainable of the varying load which is being subjected to the particular model. And thus, it is advised to print the specific model in a specific material so that it could withstand the amount of pressure and load which it has been exposed to. So talking about the aesthetics, so it does not, this particular technology requires very less amount of supports to be generated inside the particular model. So just check the features of this particular model. So this is a plan, this is an architectural plan. It has not been printed with any amount of supports. So this entire structure was printed without any kind of supports into it. It has stairs, it has a table, it has chairs, it has the almirah, it has the backdrop, everything. So that means that technology is very much profound and proficient enough to print any of your applications. The only thing is your design should be complex enough, your design should be apt enough for printing, and simultaneously you should have a good idea of about the materials which are like available for printing. Yeah, Mr. Bubhuti, I guess we are done for the day.
Yes, okay, Bipin. So for tomorrow, may I request you to like start from 5:30 p.m.
Tomorrow from
5:30.
5:30.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I'll just check out my availability, and thereby we can take up a call on this. I mean, timing is not a very big factor for us.
Okay. Because actually, to be honest, we have some kind of visit, these participants, and
okay,
we are visiting one of the laboratories in Guwahati. So, like the engaging time will be from like 1 o'clock to let's say 4:30. So,
okay,
after that, so we need at least 1 hour to go back to our individual houses and start the session. So 5:30 will be the evening time that we suggest, or if you want to take the session in the morning half, say from 10 o'clock, then it is also fine with us. So it's up to you, either from 10 or from after 5:30 at any time. So
yeah, sure, sir. We don't have any of the issues, but like I'll just check with my team, and thereby we'll get back to you over the call.
Sure,
so,
sure. No problem.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.